Yeah, children. So the next topic that we're going to have is the female reproductive system. Now, we look about the female reproductive system. We're going to call it as intra-abdominal. So why we're going to call it as intra-abdominal means because it is present inside the abdominal cavity. But when you take about the spermatozoa, or you can take about the female male reproductive system, it is extra-abdominal, where testes are enclosed in a pouch outside the abdominal cavity. But in case of female reproductive system, it is present inside the abdominal cavity. Here we have the four important structures, that is all the parts are categorized into four important structures. One is the primary sex organ, which includes the ovaries. Next we have the secondary sex organ, which includes your ducts and the gland. The third one is the external genitalia, and the fourth one is mammary gland. So first we'll see the diagram, then we can see the flow chart of all the individual categorized structures. Now first we should know how to draw the diagram in case of your examinations. So when the question is asked how to draw the diagram, very simple. First draw the uterine fundus like this. Then you have to extend the parts like this. And this part should come a little bit down. Similarly over here. Then you extend, it should be like a very thin layer should be formed here. Very thin layered structure you draw here and stop here. Here also draw a thin layered structure and just stop it over here. Then you draw some grooves over here. There are some grooves that we have to draw. Similarly from here draw another nick, a closed line, stop it here, again one more nick. Okay, then this part the same way you extend like this. The same way you extend this part like this. Similarly you take this part, extend this like this, and again draw the structures. That's it. This is how we have to draw the female reproductive structure. Okay, fine. Now here extend some ligaments, here draw the ovaries. One part is missing here, here you put some finger-like projections. This is how we have to draw the structure of female reproductive organ. The first one we take into consideration is the primary sex organ. The primary sex organ includes the ovary, or a pair of ovaries. And the main function of ovary is the ovary is able to give a certain types of hormones. So what are the hormones means? The ovaries will give you an hormone called as estrogen from the growing follicular cells. Number 2, they give a hormone called progesterone from corpus luteum. Number 3, they give a hormone called relaxin. So the primary sex organ is your ovary, involved in harmonic function, and when you look about the gametic function, they involved in one more gametic functions also. What is the gametic functions? The gametic function includes the formation of ovary. So when you look about all the important aspects, children, one of the important aspects which I want to highlight whenever we go for ovary, which most of them are not able to represent, is about the layers. Okay, the first is called as the uterus. This one is called as your uterus, or the cone of uterus called uterine fundus. And there are three important walls in case of ovary. One is called as the perimetrium. I'll just take this, okay, I'll take this area. Perimetrium. The outer layer is called as the perimetrium. What is the role of perimetrium? Means the perimetrium helps the female reproductive structures to attach to the body wall. Next we have an important layer called as myometrium. What is the role of myometrium? Means it is made up of smooth muscles and they are mostly involved in parturition. During labor pain, myometrium undergoes vigorous contraction which helps to expel the fully grown fetus outside the body during your parturition process. Next, we have another important layer that is called as endometrium. So what is the role of endometrium means? The endometrium undergoes cyclical changes during menstrual cycle. At the same time, the implantation takes place in the endometrium. So there are two important roles of endometrium: cyclical changes during menstrual cycle, and number two, they undergo means implantation takes place at endometrium layer. One more role is also there, I forgot to say that the endometrium forms the maternal tissue of the placenta. Three important roles. And the next important thing is, this one is nothing but your cervix or your cervical canal, and this forms your cervix, and this forms the vagina. Vagina is a site where the sperms are deposited during insemination, and sperms after this only they will cross the cervical canal and cervix. So cervix and vagina together they are called as birth canal. Together they are called as birth canal. Vagina is a site of insemination. Birth canal is a site through which a fully grown fetus is expelled outside the body. Next, about ovary is over. Next, we go for the parts of the fallopian tube. So look about the fallopian tube. Okay, they have some finger-like projection called as fimbriae. The fimbriae is a finger-like projection which will receive the ova after ovulation. Followed by this, we have funnel-shaped structure. This is called as infundibulum. This is called as infundibulum. Followed by infundibulum, we have two important structures here. This is called as ampulla, and this area is called as isthmus. Some books they say ampulla or some books say isthmus. I'll go with ampullary isthmic junction is the site of fertilization. The one which receives the ova is called as the fimbriae. The site of fertilization is ampullary isthmic junction. Placenta formation, cyclical changes, and implantation is the endometrium layer. Vigorous contraction during parturition is myometrium. Attachment to the body wall is perimetrium, and we have a pair of ovary, which is actually a harmonic, three harmonic function and gametic functions. So this is the structure of female reproductive structures, where the ovary comes in the primary sex organ, uterus and infundibulum, ampulla, isthmus comes under secondary or again secondary sex organ. The third one is the external genitalia. About that we are going to focus now. Okay, the next part that we are going to focus is the external genitalia. So we look about an external genitalia. They have a hair-like cushy fashion, and which is made up of cutaneous and made up of fatty layer. This one is called as your mons pubis. This one is called as the mons pubis. Then we have some additional set of one thick layered flap. We have one thick layered flap. This thick layered flap is called as labia majora. This thick layered flap is called as labia majora. This thick layer flap is called as labia majora. Then we have another thin layer flap. This thin layer flap is called as labia minora. Labia minora. Above the labia minora, we have a finger-like projection here. This one is called as clitoris, which is homology to the penis. Then this one is called as your vaginal orifice, the opening of vagina, vaginal orifice. Surrounding this, we have a small secretion called as Bartholin gland secretion. Bartholin gland secretion. This is all about the external genitalia. Next, we have to focus on the another structure called mammary gland. Okay, Now the next topic that we're going to have is the mammary gland. In case of mammal, both male and female have a mammary gland, but the functional mammary gland can be seen only in females. Now this is the ribs. They will be having the ribs. On the ribs, of course, the mammary glands are supported by the cutaneous area only. It is made up of glandular epithelium, and this is the outer layer, the capsule of them. This is one of the outer layer. So the very important thing for the board examination is you must know the wall or layers through which the milk transports. How the testis is made up of testicular lobules. Here the mammary gland is also made of mammary lobules. Here they are also made up of mammary lobules, or you can say mammary lobes. So I will take here consideration mammary lobes or mammary lobules. What is present inside the mammary lobules means we have some certain group of cells. These are called as mammary alveoli. These cells are called as the mammary alveoli. Mammary alveoli. So what is this mammary alveoli? The mammary alveoli are nothing but a group of cells, and these group of cells secrete milk under the influence of human placental lactogen and one more hormone that is from your pituitary gland, that is called as prolactin hormones. Under the influence of this, mammary alveoli will secrete the milk. So the mammary alveoli further leads to another tubular part through which the milk is transported. Leads to the tubular part. This tubular part is called as your mammary tubules. Is called as your mammary tubules. So what does mammary tubules leads to? The mammary tubule leads to a lot of ducts. The mammary tubules leads to a lot of ducts, that is called as mammary duct. All the mammary ducts, they join together, they lead to a wider part of the mammary tubules. The wider part is called as mammary ampulla. Mammary ampulla is the wider part, and the mammary ampulla leads to an important duct. This duct is called as mammary duct, and mammary duct leads to the nipple through which milk is sucked out. Therefore the pathway is like this. We have the mammary lobules. Inside mammary lobules, we have mammary alveoli, which is a milk secreting cell. The mammary alveoli leads to the mammary tubules. The mammary tubules leads to mammary duct. The mammary duct leads to mammary ampulla, the wider part. The mammary ampulla leads to the mammary duct. The mammary duct leads to the nipple through which milk is sucked out. So these are the various things you must know in the mammary gland. Now we'll see the summation of the entire female reproductive system now. So we look about the female reproductive system. So we're going to take a human female reproductive system. So when you look about the human female reproductive system, we have four important parts, as I have told you earlier. We have the first important part is called as your primary sex organ. The primary sex organ includes your ovary, where ovary is involved in gamete formation. At the same time, they are involved in hormone formation. The hormones are estrogen from the follicular cells, progesterone from the corpus luteum, and third important one is called relaxin from the ovary itself. So we have relaxin which is secreted during the later period of pregnancy. Next we have the secondary sex organ. The secondary sex organ includes lot of parts. The first part included one is the ovary. Not ovary. Uterus. The first part included is nothing but the uterus, where we have three important layers: perimetrium, myometrium, endometrium. Then we have the fallopian tube. Then we have the fallopian tube. Okay. Next we have the fallopian tube, and extra we have another area called as your fimbriae, and we have an important gland called as Bartholin gland. Okay, fine. Apart from it, we have another one called as the birth canal, which includes your cervix and the vagina. All this comes under the secondary sex organ. The third is your external genitalia. The external genitalia includes mons pubis. It includes your mons pubis. It includes labia majora, the first flap, then labia minora. In labia minora only we have something called as clitoris, homology to the penis. Next you have the vaginal orifice, the opening one. Next is your mammary gland. And you know what is the mammary gland made up of? That also we have seen. So this is the entire schematic representation of female reproductive system. Thank you very much.